Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 30-Minute Gospel. My name is Chris, and I'll be your host as we open and study the Bible together. I'll be reading from the King James Version, but you can feel free to read whichever translation that best suits you. I would just recommend that you have a version that does not delete verses from God's holy word. Each video will be a biblical teaching of 30 minutes or less. My material is completely 100% free, so you can share these videos with family members, co-workers, friends, or anyone you know who either needs to hear the Word of God or wants to study it in a casual setting. The gospel is free to all, so I will not accept any donations, gifts, or beg viewers for money. Please give to your local church or a Christian organization of your choosing. You can reach out to me with questions or comments at 30minutegospel@gmail.com, but please keep your message respectful and cordial. Well, thank you again for everyone for tuning in. We are on video, I think it's 11 of the end times and the return of Jesus Christ. And last time we were talking about we were reading through Revelation, and we were talking about how there will be an antichrist figure. The Bible is very clear on that. There is a single individual. We read through Daniel 7:8, Daniel 7:23 through 26, 2 Thessalonians 2:3 through 9, Daniel chapter 11 verses 36 through 34, Daniel 9:27, and we started in the book of Revelation chapter 13 that talks about the Antichrist, okay? And where I left off at the last time, we just finished up verse 2, and I said that this beast that came out of the sea. Now, the sea, as they're going to talk about there, it says that the sea is a representation of many peoples, okay? And it's believed, and I believe it too, that the Antichrist will come out of Europe somewhere. Okay, he will have something to do with Europe. Okay, why do I believe that? It says, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear." Now this beast is the Antichrist, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Okay, so I want you to notice that leopard, bear, and lion. Okay, leopard is the national symbol of the nation of Germany. Okay, the country of Germany. Bear, most people know, is the Russian bear. It's Russia. Russia makes up a good portion of parts of Eastern Europe, and they had a lot of control over there during the Soviet Union. And then the lion is Great Britain. So you can see it. It's like Great Britain is like over. If you're looking at the continent, it's like on the west. Germany's almost of the west of Europe. Germany's kind of in the center, and then Russia's in the east of Germany. I mean, east of Europe. So you can see it. It's like the spread. What it's saying is Europe. The beast is coming out of Europe. Okay, and I said it had 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, if you know anything, what does the book of Daniel talk about with the statue in Daniel chapter 2, which we talked about? Daniel chapter 2 talks about we mentioned that I can't remember where we mentioned it at, but oh yeah, it came out of the Holy Roman Empire. That was Daniel chapter 2. In verses 40 through 44, it talks about the foot of the statue. If you remember the statue, the iron legs represent the Roman Empire, the split, the eastern and the western, and then there have 10 toes that are part iron and part clay. Well, if you know anything, after the Roman Empire, what happened was Europe, the whole Roman Empire was divided, which was the Mediterranean Sea, which is modern day Europe and everything. It was divided into 10 kingdoms. Okay, it was divided into 10 kingdoms. So they split apart, although they had some things in common with the Roman Empire, the old Roman Empire. They were split up and different. They're together on the same continent. Okay, in the same continents, but they're separate nations. And it says in there that they will try to intermingle with each other, but they never will. They will never mix. Just like iron doesn't mix with clay, these countries aren't going to mix with each other. They tried to do that, as I explained. Just some examples. Catherine in Spain, Catherine of Aragon married Henry VIII. Okay, that was trying to unite them. And Marie Antoinette married Louis the 16th. She was a Habsburg, okay, over in the Austrian Hungarian area, and she married a French king. So they were different, they were different groups, but it never worked out. And then Hitler tried to unite the entire continent, and it didn't work. And Napoleon tried to unite the entire continent, and it didn't work. Okay, so that European Union's where it's going to come out of. That's the reason why we believe it. Remember, Great Britain voted. If some of y'all remember, they voted to leave the European Union. Okay, it was called Brexit. Some of y'all remember that? It's been a while. They still haven't left. They're not going to leave. God's not going to allow them to leave because Europe has to be united. Okay? So this person's going to come out. It's going to be a rebirth of the Holy Roman Empire. It's going to be all those nations. The Roman Empire is going to be rebirthed, and it also talks about how like the Antichrist sits on the seven hills. The seven hills is the city of Rome. Okay, all right. So I just want to give you all a picture of where this Antichrist is going to come. To see it's many people. Europe's a very large population, over there. It's going to come out of there. Could it be a Muslim that comes out of there? Maybe a Muslim because the Muslim population has grown there. I think I last saw like England, 25% of their population is Islamic or Arab, and in France there's a lot of them too. Could it be someone in there that's very charismatic? The London the London mayor was I think he was a Muslim, and so could it be? It might be. I don't know. But it's just something to think about so you can see that. So we're going to go through the whole book of Revelation, or chapter of Revelation, chapter 13. So starting in verse 3. And notice what it says. It says, "And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority." Now, the dragon, of course, is Satan. Interestingly enough, what country is the dragon a symbol of? China. The dragon is the symbol of China. Okay, so I believe that the Chinese are going to have they're going to be that army of 200 million that we talked about. They're going to have a play in this at the end times as well. Okay, they'll have a play. Interesting thing that happens is if you know anything, the Chinese have a zodiac. I don't believe in it, but there's a zodiac that they have. It's 12 animals. Okay, it's 12 animals and they're cyclical. So, one year it's like the year of the pig, and then another year is the year of the dog, and then another year it's the year of the tiger, and stuff like that. They do that, and then it switches off every 12 years. I only know it. I'm the monkey because I saw it one time, and stuff like that. But last year, after the Chinese New Year, it was the year of the dragon. Okay, the year of the dragon. And that's what it was in the Chinese zodiac. Year of the dragon. This year, 2025, is the year of the snake. Okay, the dragon, then the snake. Okay, dragon is Satan. The snake is the serpent, also known as Satan. Could that be a sign in this that God is using to let us know? Maybe, because God can use anything. He may be using that not to say it's something about your fortune or who you are or anything, but letting you know world events that could be happening. It's a possibility. I don't know. But it's just something to think about. I just think it's very interesting that was the year of the dragon, then it's the year of the snake. It's very, very interesting. Okay, so we'll start off in verse 3 here. It says, "And I saw one of his heads as if it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast." So the beast is going to have a deadly wound. What is that deadly wound? Will he be stabbed? Will he be shot? Will something, we don't know. Will he be almost beaten to death? We don't know. But he's going to be, people are going to think he's on his deathbed, but he's going to survive it. Why is this happening? Because Satan mimics Jesus Christ and God. What happened with Jesus? Jesus got a deadly wound. Jesus actually did die, but he rose again from the grave. This is almost like he didn't really die. He came close to death, but he's going to survive it. Okay, but people are going to think like, how did this guy survive it? There must be something miraculous about this. Maybe this is, Jesus rose from the dead. This guy rose from the dead. He's going to have many people believing he's the Messiah. That's why he's going to be able to go in the temple claiming to be God, because people are going to say, well, he survived. That's what Jesus did. He must be the reincarnation of Jesus. And he's not. Okay, he's the false Jesus, or the anti-Jesus, or the antichrist. Does that make sense? That's why that happens. All right. It says, and they worship the dragon which gave power unto the beast. Okay, so they're worshiping Satan basically through the antichrist, right? Just like Jesus, we worship God through Jesus Christ. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. Okay, so we worship, as Christians, we worship God through Jesus Christ. Okay, so the people are worshiping. It says, and they worship the dragon which gave power unto the beast. So they're worshiping the dragon through the beast, just like Jesus. Okay, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Okay, so we're seeing people are worshiping a man. All right. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. There's that 40 and 2 months again. Okay, that's 3.5 years. Okay, and this is the last 3.5 years. I believe this deadly wound will happen just before the abomination of desolation happens. This deadly wound will happen. He'll almost die. Then he'll come in. He'll go into the temple. He's like, I'm God. Look, I survived. I'm like God. And then people will worship him. And then it says he will continue his power for 42 months, which is 3.5 years. That's the last 3.5 years. But at that point, what's going to happen is God is going to unleash his wrath on the world. So while the Antichrist is ruling, disaster's coming on this earth, and destruction and mayhem. Okay, does that make sense? And he opened his mouth and blasphemed against God. That's what we said. He's going to go into the temple. See, this is all connecting. To blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and they that dwell in them in heaven. See, this is what he's saying. He's blaspheming his name and his tabernacle. What's the tabernacle? That's the temple. He's going to go in the temple claiming to be God. This is he's talking, John is talking about the abomination of desolation, which Daniel spoke about and Jesus did. Okay? And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. All right? It was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. Who are these saints? These saints are probably going to be those that are born again during the tribulation, and probably the 144,000 Jews. Okay, what does it mean to overcome them? I don't think that means he's going to kill them, but he's going to push them out of the Holy Land. I think that's what it means. He's going to push them out, and they're going to flee to the wilderness to be protected by God. Okay, and that's what they're going to do. And he was given power over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So there's going to be a one world government. Okay? And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Okay? This is where I also believe that there will be people born again during the tribulation period, because it says, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life. So that suggests that there's going to be people on this earth whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life. That's just the assumption that you have to make from what it says. Otherwise it would just say all the people of the earth will worship him. Why would they need to have whose names are not written? We wouldn't need to know that, because we would just assume all those people's names aren't written there. So there must be people's names who are written there. And notice what it says. It says, of the life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Okay? You've got to understand, it says he was slain from the foundation of the world. Why was he slain from the foundation of the world? Because God already knew what was going to happen. God knew when he created this earth that Adam and Eve were going to sin. He was already well aware of that. Why? He has foreknowledge. Romans 8:29, 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 2. Okay? And also Peter mentions the foreknowledge of God in Acts chapter 2. God has foreknowledge. He knows what's going to happen. He sees history. He already knows how it's going to play out. So when he knew what Adam and Eve were going to do, he already had a plan to counter that, and he knew that the plan was going to require Jesus to come to earth and die on the cross. So he was slain from the foundation of the world. Right when God established the world, once he established it, he knew how this was going to turn out based upon the laws and everything that he set in place with man's free will. He already knew it, so he already told Jesus what's going to happen. We know it. He didn't wait and find out about it after Adam and Eve sinned. He already knew it. So he already had the plan ready to go, and that's why Jesus was slain from the foundation of the world, because in God's eyes it already had happened. It was already a done deal. That decision was made at that point. It was already ordained to happen. Okay? So that's what it means. So he was slain. He was slain from the foundation of the world. If anyone have an ear, let him hear. That's verse 9. Verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Okay. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like the lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Now this person that they're talking about here is the false prophet. We have the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We also have the false Trinity, or the unholy Trinity. That would be Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. The false prophet is somebody that is going to promote the beast and tell people to worship him. So this is going to be a religious leader. A lot of people assume, I've heard different things. I don't know. I probably would agree more with what I'm going to say here, but a lot of people believe it might be the Pope. The Pope could be the person who promotes the Antichrist to people to worship him. Okay? And that maybe they're going to seek an alliance together. I don't know, but could it be another religious leader? It might be. It could be. I just don't know. I don't know. I would tend to side with the Pope on this, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Okay, but there's going to be a false prophet, and the false prophet is going to basically be the spokesman for the Antichrist. He's going to be the promoter, he's going to be like the Don King. If you remember Don King was a boxing promoter, promoted the matches. Come see Mike Tyson versus, Buster Douglas. Come here, blah 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 blah. That's what he's going to be doing. He's like going to be worship this guy, worship this guy, worship this guy. This guy is the Messiah. He's going to really push it. That's what it is. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. Okay? So he's going to bring fire down on the earth. It's going to, this is mimicking some of the things Elijah does, these sorts of things. God brings the fire from heaven, the fire by day, or the cloud by day, the fire by night, so it's going to kind of mimic God and mimic some of the miracles of the Old Testament. Okay, verse 14 that says, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by the sword and did live. So he's saying there that they're going to make an image of the beast. This is what I think is going to be the abomination of desolation. He's going to come in, and the false prophet is going to put up this image along with the Antichrist. They're going to put up this image in there to be worshipped. Okay, to be worshipped. That's what they're going to do. This is going to be, they're blaspheming God. They're setting up an image, an idol. The ancient Israelites did that in the temple sometimes. Some of the years they had false gods in the temple. Okay, so this is what they're going to be doing. All right, so this would be the abomination of desolation spoken of again. Okay, verse 15 it says, and he had a power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay, so once again, the image of the beast, this image that they're going to put in there, is going to be able to speak and talk like an animatronic. Okay, it's going to speak and talk like an animatronic. Um, you know, or a lot of people start saying that it may be AI generated, and it could be. That could be. I would actually kind of agree. Would this be like some sort of robot or something? Because they're making these robots that are very human-like. Could it be that? I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. We can speculate. We could come up with some crazy ideas of what it could be, but we really don't know. And I don't know if we will know if, as believers anyway, because we're going to be raptured up. It doesn't say the believers are even going to know what's going on this earth. We may not even know who the Antichrist is. God may never even let us know who the Antichrist is and who the false prophet was. He may not let us know that, so we don't know. But AI generated, some of these robots look very, very real. It's hard to tell them apart, from human beings. Um, so it could be a robot. It could be lots of things in there. It's a possibility. All right. And it says, and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Okay, so here we go again. This leads to this. There are people. This is another verse that talks about that. I believe that there's people that are going to be saved during the tribulation, and but it's not going to be a good thing. You don't want to wait till that time because you're probably going to die. That's what it says. It says if you don't worship the image, you will be killed. Okay. The Jews, these 144, they're not going to worship. They're going to be protected, but those that don't worship this image, it says there will be people on this earth that don't worship this image. So that means that they're probably going to be born again. Why else would they not worship it? If they don't worship it, but they're not believers and they die, they're going to hell anyway. So you might as well put your lot in with Satan and hope that he can take over, which he's not going to, and win out this war. He's not going to. All right. So the Antichrist, so there is going to be believers there, and there will be ordered to be killed by the sword because you're not worshiping the beast. Okay. Verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Okay, this is the mark of the beast. All right, once again, he's imitating God. Because if you go to the book, you see, notice it says in the right hand and in the forehead. Okay, now notice that what it says in Deuteronomy. If you go to the book of Deuteronomy, this is taken almost directly from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 18. God is speaking to the Israelites in Deuteronomy chapter 11. Okay? And verse 18 says this. It says, therefore shall ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand. That's the right hand. And they may be as frontlets between your eyes, or in your forehead. Okay? The Jews today have their phylacteries, which are the little hat things they put there with the word of God inside of them. They put it there, and they bind this wrist thing on their wrists, on their right hand, to remind them of their laws, of God's laws and his covenants and everything like that. So they put it in the right hand and in the forehead. The Antichrist is going to try to mimic God. So he's going to make sure that you put his mark where? In your forehead or in your right hand. Okay? Now there's all sorts of debates upon that mark. Okay, we're going to talk about, I think I have another thing on the mark of the beast. Hold on one second. Let me take a look here. It says, yeah, no, I think I talk about it right here. Yeah, the mark of the beast. So this mark is some people said it's a tattoo. Some people believe it's a microchip. I would kind of agree with the microchip a little bit because I'm already kind of seeing stuff like that. My wife and I and my boys were in Whole Foods a few months ago, and they had a thing where you can scan your hand with the microchip in there. And I'm looking at my wife and I'm going, I'll bet you that it only will work in the right hand or in the forehead. It's the only place it's going to work. Okay? And this is the way you're going to do commerce. That's why they're moving to cashless societies, is so that you'll have this mark. It's an economic control. Okay? Because that's what it talks about. It says, and in verse 17 it says, and that no man might buy or sell save that he have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay? So we talked about that. This is the economic problems that are going to occur during this time. The black horse, which is representation of the economic thing, he's going to try to control, just like the communists, he's going to try to control the economy. All right, he's going to make you get a mark in your right hand or in your forehead. Is that a microchip? Is it a tattoo? What is it? I don't know, but they're going to try to do that, and it's going to be a way to control the population. All right. And I told that story about how during COVID they did that. We went into a business and they were taking temperature and they were taking it on the forehead. My youngest son wasn't tall enough to reach it. They said, "Okay, we'll do it," and they grabbed his right hand and started scanning. They're trying to prepare you for it. You see, society is preparing you for this. All right, they're going to try to control the economy. All right, so that's this mark of the beast, and it's like I said, it's trying to mimic. Okay, it's trying to mimic the the Deuteronomy 11:18. All right. Now the last thing it says, here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of man, and his number is 600 threescore and six. What is this number 666? Okay. I will leave it there and we will talk about that in the next video because we have a lot to talk about with that, and I don't want to be in the middle of it and have to cut this video short because we're at the 27-minute mark. But we're starting to move along here. We still got some to go through, talking about this and all sorts of things about the end times. It is book 11. This is just so fascinating. But we finished up Revelation chapter 13 talking about there is going to be a false prophet, an antichrist, and Satan, the unholy trinity, and how this shows how Satan is trying to mimic God so that people will worship him to get his last hurrah before he's done with. Okay? All right, well, I thank you all for tuning in. I just encourage you to like this video and share this video with anyone you know that wants to hear the Word of God. I also have a video that's on my YouTube and on my Rumble channel. It's called Peace with God, the Gospel Message. I always encourage at the end of every video, please share that video with anybody you know. We're running out of time. As some of you know, Israel and Iran are now trading fire with each other. It may not be long. So please share that with anybody that you know who needs to hear it. I also have you can like and subscribe my channel on YouTube or Rumble. You can also like and follow my Facebook page, 30-Minute Gospel with Chris. And I also have an email, 30-Minute Gospel at gmail.com if you want to reach me with any questions or comments. I thank you all again for tuning in, and I will leave you with this. Remember, just as Theodore Roosevelt once said, a thorough knowledge of the Bible is worth more than a college education. God bless you all.